On the Choose to Think podcast, I will encourage and empower you to engage and optimize your best thought life in practical, meaningful ways so that you can live day by day in joy, peace, and God's purpose despite all externals. This is Victoria, and welcome back to the Choose to Think podcast. I'm so glad you're here. Hey there, and welcome to another episode of the Choose to Think Inspirational podcast, where we focus on life-giving affirmations that transform your mind and your heart. I'm so glad that you're here today because we're diving into a topic that I think everyone can relate to: peace. P-E-A-C-E, peace. More specifically, God's peace. How often do you find yourself craving peace? I know I do. And we all face moments where stress, worry, and anxiety threaten to overtake us. But there is good news. God's peace can guard your heart and mind, just like a vigilant security guard standing at the entrance of a castle, keeping everything safe inside. But first, let me just start out of the gate by saying there's a capital P peace and a lowercase p for peace. And we're really talking about the lowercase peace today. Capital P peace is the way that leads to peace via salvation. Regarding Christianity, it means that tranquil state of your soul being assured of its salvation through Christ. The consequence of God's capital P in your life, and in this sense, means you fear nothing from God and you are content with your earthly lot of whatever sort that is. Your soul is reconciled with God, essentially. Chances are you and I both have this capital P in our lives. But I'd also like to focus on something a little bit different today, that lowercase p for peace. And let me say that as I was researching and studying for this particular affirmation and biblical truth that we're talking about here for the taking, I found myself a bit rattled because often I think I may miss God's little p peace. I have one situation in my life that feels somewhat like it's robbing me of more peace than just about any other situation that I'm going through these days, and it centers around my personal health and appearance. And frankly, I don't know how to handle my graying hair. I have often quipped, gray is an attitude, and I don't have it. I've been wondering more and more about this color and whether I should actually adopt this, quote, attitude. But I look in the mirror and my hair is not dedicated to a color or even harmonizing colors. What I don't want to have is chemically stripped and dry hair that looks orangish from all the dyes. That's kind of how I might describe myself sometimes. I also don't want to spend literally hundreds of dollars for hair care because I would have to go have my roots covered about every 6 to 8 weeks, and I'd actually rather spend my discretionary money on pickleball, for crying out loud, than to stay on top of all that gray. Well, lately, I have felt like I am on the brink of adopting the gray attitude. But even then, the gray is only on a few strands of my hair. And I think if I could be that bright all over silvery color, I might just go for it. But what I am is gray in the front and some of the sides, and the rest is kind of a mousy brown color. So I do wonder about you. Where do you stand on going gray or continuing to color your hair? What are your thoughts? Do you think it even matters? Leave a comment on this podcast. If you're listening on YouTube, you can leave it directly below. If you're listening on a podcasting app such as Spotify, there's a place for comments. You can also shoot me an email at choosetothink@gmail.com. I read every email there personally and privately. Well, just yesterday I was playing ball, and one of my friends who's about 5 years older than I am, she mentioned how she needed to go and get her hair done that week. She is definitely and adamantly in the camp of saying no thank you to gray hair. Yet then later I saw another friend, younger than I am, who said she gave up the fight to cover her gray hair. She had blessedly embraced her gray, and she looks amazing. I don't find that her hair color really ages her or detracts from her overall appearance. She has a mile-wide smile, and she's always upbeat. That's what I notice about her, not her hair. Both of these gals are Christ followers, and I wonder, where are you in the mix? The affirmation for today, and it's affirmation number 11 in our 30-part series, is God's peace guards my heart and mind. And that's a life-changing truth. And I believe that it's something you can begin to claim and hold on to every single day and in every single scenario, even down to the color of your hair. So let's say that you too are dealing with the whole aging thing, or maybe you're a young mother whose body is changing due to childbearing and nursing for so many years. Well, how can we best deal with body image? Where can we find God's peace in all of this? I'd like to actually face off with lowercase p on this issue and kind of try to find peace, and maybe you can relate. So I'm breaking the episode into two main parts: how to deal with aging and body changes, specifically how to deal with your graying hair. I'm going to offer 3 tips and that we're just going to unpack in the episode. That's 1, changing your perspective; 2, accepting your gray and transitioning gracefully; and 3, changing your focus to inner beauty. Those are, in a nutshell, what we're going to unpack very quickly. But I want you to stay tuned to the end to hear a special message for those of you who are like I am, who choose to continue to color your hair. So let's get to the tips. It's not uncommon to feel frustrated with physical changes that come with aging or seasonal transitions in your life, like illnesses and having children. First, it's obvious that hair color or condition is associated with age and maturing, like gray hair. I mean, we have things to say about gray hair, right? I'm not sure how much you budget for your hair care, but it's also understandable that you don't want to keep investing in constant hair coloring due to the cost and potential damage to your hair with all of the chemical applications. So if you're that person who says, I want to switch, here are some ways that you can approach this situation to regain your peace if you're kind of feeling out of sorts about this particular issue. And believe me, this hit right to the core for me. Hey there, do you love tuning into the Choose to Think Inspirational podcast? Does it bring a little extra joy, encouragement, or perspective into your week? Well, guess what? You can be a bigger part of this journey by supporting the show on Patreon. Here's the scoop. By joining my Patreon family, you'll unlock exclusive behind-the-scenes content, special heart-to-heart episodes, and even some get-to-know-me goodies. It's my way of saying thank you for partnering with me to keep these Christ-centered, uplifting messages going strong. Starting at just $1 a month, you can help me reach more hearts and minds with practical tools, inspiring stories, and faith-filled encouragement. And the best part, you're not just supporting the podcast, you're joining a mission to spread light, hope, and God's truth in a noisy world. So are you in? Head over to patreon.com/choose to think to join the team. And thank you for being such a big part of this journey. I could not do it without you. Let's choose to think, live, and love for God's glory together. The first tip is you can think about shifting your perspective. Essentially, it's embracing the gray. Embrace the idea that gray hair can be a sign of wisdom and life experience. While it might feel like you're losing something, you're actually gaining a deeper, more beautiful story that reflects your life journey. Sometimes your peace comes from your attitude toward things rather than the things themselves. In Psalm 92:14, it says, they will still bear fruit in old age. They will stay fresh and green. So in other words, your appearance does not define your worth, and the wisdom you've gained over the years is a gift. Gray hair can be a crown of all of those things. Not that I am at all swayed by Hollywood, but I Googled actresses who have gone gray, and I was a bit surprised at the results. Do not underestimate enthusiasm if you desire to shift your perspective and embrace the gray. One person said, I cannot tell you how amazing it is to feel free from hair color and hair extensions and hair tapes and blah, blah, blah. To be able to run my hands through my hair and appreciate, well, it's just heaven. Another gal said, in the world, there's an industry, they're talking about Hollywood, right? A $1 billion, $1 trillion industry about hiding things. You've got concealers, body shapers, fillers, procedures, clothing, hair accessories, hair products, everything to conceal the reality of who we are. And my instruction to everybody was, I want there to be no concealing of anything, end quote. These gals have actually embraced going gray, and they have done so with vim and vigor and enthusiasm. What's more is after the fact, they feel free from society's standards and pressures to look a certain way. They stand fiercely in the face of superficiality and embrace who they are as they are. And I think that's kind of neat. And it's an attitude that I really do want to have someday. But let's say that still this is not quite for you. You don't want to just go completely, embrace the gray just yet. What about this tip, number 2? Find confidence in your transitioning new look. This is an idea that I've heard some people talk about. If you are hesitant to go fully gray, perhaps find a middle ground where you embrace the change while you still feel comfortable. For instance, some people opt for a more natural, blended approach with highlights or a softer version of coloring that doesn't feel so demanding. A cut or a style change that suits your gray hair could also help you feel more refreshed and confident. I love that idea too. And I just love the idea of a more gradual change. I think that's how I'll probably do it instead of just going cold turkey, like a 180-degree kind of change. This is really something I think I might consider. Finding that perfect cut would also help. So, okay, if it's not embracing the gray or slowly transitioning to gray, what about this tip number 3? Can you train your thoughts to focus on inner beauty instead? When you focus on inner beauty, you're kind of reflecting what 1 Peter 3:3-4 says. It encourages us not to focus on outward beauty, but to nurture the inner beauty of a gentle and quiet heart, which is of, quote, great worth in God's sight. While you care about how you look, investing time in your spiritual health, hobbies, or things that make you feel truly vibrant from the inside out can help shift the focus from external appearance to what's in your heart. And I just love this tip. I know beauty is fleeting, and a woman to be praised is the one who fears the Lord. I think the underlying issue for me is that I want to still appear outwardly healthy and youthful, but typically gray hair is not associated with those two things. So I have kind of a bit of a tug of war going on regarding inner and outer beauty. Well, what is the real issue though? What is really robbing you of your peace, even the lowercase p's? Your thoughts really are at root. And that's just a tiny pun. This is how it goes for me. I look in the mirror and I see all the gray coming through. And then I begin to tell myself negative thoughts like, I just don't look good anymore, or my hair is so dry and brittle, or my hair looks like Bozo the Clown, or maybe I should get a new cut, or why do I always wear my hair up? And the litany of borderline put-downs continues, which impacts my day and completely robs me of my lowercase peace. I remember I interviewed Marnie Swedberg, and that was episode 323. And she said something like this: does God really care about whether you wear the black dress or the blue one? And her answer was, if you care, God cares. And I think that's the way it is about your hair. If you care about your hair, even if it is a hang-up of sorts, so does God. He wants you to feel so unconditionally and fully loved just how you are. But he also loves you too much to leave you anxious and fretting over things in your life, even those practical run-of-the-mill issues that we tend to feel badly for fretting over, like gray hair. We may even guilt ourselves in our thoughts about these types of issues. I mean, after all, it's just hair, right? After all, there are plenty of other things to worry about, right? And I tell myself that also, which then only makes me feel more ashamed and guilty for fretting over something so superficial. Satan doesn't even need to jump on the bandwagon because I'm accusing myself left and right as it is. So I really want to put a stop to this nonsense right now. I want to choose to think, and I know you do too. So to recap, you might choose to shift your perspective and begin to embrace the gray. Or you may take the path of a slow transition from where you are now to just letting your hair naturally gray out and maybe adding in a few subtle colors to help you during that transition. Or maybe you say, you know what, I'm just going to focus on inner beauty and other ways or activities even to help me feel more fully alive. But what if you say no to all of these options? What if you decide to keep coloring your gray roots? Well, this is me for the moment, and I have a special word for you to encourage your heart too. So this is to the woman who keeps coloring her roots. There is a unique beauty in how God created you to reflect His glory, both inside and out. While Scripture teaches that true beauty comes from a gentle and quiet spirit, it also does not diminish the value of how you care for yourself outwardly. You are stewarding the body God gave you, and if coloring your hair helps you to feel more like you, that's a decision you can honor without guilt. Do you believe that? Well, think about Queen Esther, who prepared herself for months to present her best before the king. not because her worth depended on her looks, but instead because she was stepping into a role where her outward beauty could be a tool for God's greater purpose. If she had gray hair, perhaps she would have covered it too. Maybe she wouldn't have. The point is, she used what she had to reflect her confidence and calling, and so can you. You and I both know that God looks at the heart, but He also delights in your joy and confidence when you embrace your God-given uniqueness. Whether you let those grays shine or choose to cover them up, your worth is never tied to the color of your hair. It's tied to the unchanging truth that you are fearfully and wonderfully made. So go ahead and color those roots. That's your choice. It doesn't take away from your faith or diminish your focus on inner beauty at all. And I want to read that again. Color those roots if that's your choice. It doesn't take away from your faith or diminish your focus on inner beauty that you have. You can still focus on those qualities of inner beauty while you're coloring your hair. It's not like an either or. Let coloring your hair, if that's what you want to do, be a reflection of the vibrancy and confidence that God has placed in your heart. And now, I really do want to hear from you about this. Where do you stand on the whole go gray or don't go gray spectrum? Is going gray an attitude, and do you have it? What options are you choosing these days? Embracing the gray, transitioning, or focusing more on inner beauty? Or are you just going to keep going the coloring route? Are you at peace with your decision? And that's really what we're after here. That's what this is all about. You know, that affirmation, again, is God's peace guards my heart and mind. That's our affirmation. Do you kind of grab hold of His peace in little sticky issues like this? That's where we want to be. And I want to say, you know what? I'm coloring my hair, but I'm going to be peace there with that and with that decision. Anyway, I want to keep the conversation going, and you can jump on to Facebook. We have a Choose to Think Inspirational Podcast community there. I'd love to have you there. All you have to do is click the link that's in the show notes on this episode. And if you know a woman who's on the struggle bus with going gray or not, pass this episode on to her. It's going to give her something to think about. Keep sharing the podcast links to help the ministry grow. And if you want to go a step further, consider joining my podcast community on Patreon, where just for $1 a month, it's going to give you a front row ticket to exclusive content. Currently, all 7 audio messages from the Self-Control Challenger House there. You can listen to them anytime and as often as you want. They are jam-packed with encouragement and inspiration to help you create lasting good habits in your life. The link to be a podcast supporter is also in the show notes. And please don't forget to download the series freebie with all 30 life-changing affirmations to rev up your thought life. And the link to get your free copy is in the show notes. So thank you again so much for your support. I love you so much. And until next time, you keep living your best thought life. And that's a wrap, Brain Changer. And listen, if you like what you hear, would you leave us a 1 to 2 sentence review at Apple Podcasts? Share the link with a friend or tag me on your share on social media. It would mean the world to me and would help us to keep shining the light of Christ and sharing the good news to others who are in need of encouragement. Please visit us on our website at choosetothink.co. That's with the number 2, choosetothink.co, to get on our monthly newsletter list. And if you need a guest speaker for your next women's retreat or church event, I'm your gal. Email me at choosetothink@gmail.com, and that's with the number 2, choosetothink@gmail.com. Finally, I offer limited free mentoring sessions each month where you and I can chat to help you develop a strategy for your thoughts in any area of your life. I'm a certified life coach and I have something to share. Visit choosetothink.co and click on mentoring for more details. Also, keep in mind that the messages on this show are for informational and educational purposes only. Please consult your medical doctor for all medical issues. Thank you again for tuning in. God bless you.